Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle where I talk about electronic music, both new and old. And today, it's time for Halloween. I'm going out as Todd in the Shadows, I guess. I kinda stopped trick-or-treating after I was in grade school, to be honest, but whatever. So, Halloween special. What kind of electronic albums would you associate with Halloween? Now, see, the first one I usually think of is Monolake's Ghosts. And of course, while I'd love to talk about the weird spookiness and atmospherics of that album, that's not the one I've been getting requests up the ass to cover. Maybe next year. So someone made the offhand suggestion to cover this album for Halloween, and I'll be honest, I've never associated this album with Halloween before. I was just sitting there thinking, what the heck does Burial have anything to do with Halloween? But the more I thought about it, the more it fit. Actually kinda works, doesn't it? So here we are. I decided to give you all a special Halloween treat. By popular demand, I'm talking about Burial. And I'm gonna turn on the lights because I can't see where the camera is. There we go. Alright, so William Emanuel Bevan, Cult's favorite English producer. The guy's debut album dropped in 2006, and it's pretty similar to the one I'm going to be talking about here. If you really like this album and want more of the same, check that out. But to be perfectly honest, Untrue is basically exactly like Burial's debut, but better in almost every way. To the point that I don't listen to the debut nearly as much as I listen to this one, Untrue. But aside from the guy's debut album, this album basically stands alone in the world of electronic music. The only time so far I've ever compared another artist to Burial was Jamie XX. It's pretty difficult to sound like Burial without trying, and I got the feeling that Jamie was trying to do just that. But the point is, Burial is a unique artist that nobody sounds remotely like. I can say that Jamie XX sounds a little like Burial, but I can't say Burial sounds like Jamie XX. Doesn't really work both ways. Burial's style takes influence from ambient music, hip-hop, UK garage apparently. I've even heard him described as dubstep before. And quite frankly, I can't imagine this ever being called dubstep, but I don't know, maybe it's like some kind of precursor. But like, this doesn't sound anything like Skrillex or Knife Party or that kind of thing. And if you don't want to call that dubstep, whatever. But I refuse to justify the term bro step, but I digress. Because never mind genre-specific labels. Burial doesn't really apply to any of them. His typical sound is composed of giant banging percussion, pitch-shifted vocal samples, dark synth washes, and lots of reverb. To be honest though, most of Burial's tracks follow that kind of formula. In a way, he just kinda makes the same song over and over, and this applies to both albums. Now, typically I would not approve of this, as in most cases I would prefer an album with a lot of variety over a more streamlined and cohesive one, but Burial gets away with it. For one thing, all the patterns of vocal samples comprise various different hooks that are all memorable in their own right. Despite being structured identically, I won't be mistaking Archangel, let it be alone, let it be alone, let it be alone, for Near Dark, I envy you, I envy you, or Etched Headplate, for Raver. But another reason Burial gets away with this is because this album's entire appeal is its atmosphere. So the sameness of everything actually adds to the overall experience. The feel I get out of this album is that of walking through a big city, and not in any of the nicer looking areas. Just everything is all dark and gritty. The pounding drums are like the loud noises surrounding you as you walk around the city, and the vocal samples and the like help set up the mood that fits your current mental state. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but typically when I'm walking through the city at night, it's when my college class is over and I need to commute home. And when it's really late, then I also tend to be pretty tired and not exactly in the mood for some kind of silly musical number. Not that I'm ever in the mood for, like, Broadway stuff, but the point is, Burial works rather well in that context. Granted though, this album clicked with me quite a bit before I started actually taking classes downtown, so that should give you an idea on how potent the mood is. But the thing about this album's mood is that it's not so much creepy as it is sleep-deprived and sad. Like, the debut is more dark and creepy, and actually that would make Burial's self-titled debut the better Halloween album. That album was basically the same thing as this one was, but even darker and creepier, like the soundtrack to a gang pulling off a late-night heist and getting away with it. Also, maybe including the paranoia of getting caught or thinking they've done a terrible thing in the name of surviving homelessness. There are a couple of moments on the debut that don't totally fit that mood, like Space Ape, which, like, I guess fits thematically but not really sonically. It's just this creepy sounding guy talking. Or the track Broken Home, which fits thematically and sonically but is kind of annoying, but that's just... But I digress. Point is, it's the sad mood of Untrue that makes the album more relatable, and therefore more emotionally potent, and, in my opinion, better. Though you can argue that one with me. Another thing that helps out this album's mood are the ambient interludes, such as Endorphin, In McDonald's, Dog Shelter, and UK. They're basically just like the other tracks, but shorter and without the beats, but they're among my favorite moments on the album and make for just that little bit of variety that brings the album up even more. The debut tried adding variety in the forms of songs like Space Ape, but that felt kinda out of place and took away from the overall mood a little bit, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, that album also had some ambient interludes like Night Bus, so there is that. But yeah, that is about all I have to say on the topic of Burial. Needless to say, Untrue is an absolutely fantastic album that basically has risen to classic status. Burial is a super unique producer, and both of his albums are worth your time. But Untrue, in particular, is the guy's best work, in my opinion. The guy hasn't released another album since, and to be honest, I really don't think he needs to either, as I'm not really confident he can top it. But definitely check this one out. It's a must-listen, even if it really doesn't have much of anything to do with Halloween. If you're looking for a Halloween album, Burial's debut will probably work better, but Untrue works any time of the year. Though preferably at night or when the skies are overcast. And you might be looking around for things that might be creeping about in the alleys. But yeah, overall, I'm feeling a solid 9 out of 10. And since I'm probably never gonna be making a full video review of Burial's debut, I'm just gonna put it out there that I think that album is a solid 8. But of course, this is just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. So leave the comments in the comment thing down there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all for today. See you next time.